The card for Money in the Bank is set. So tonight's SmackDown was all about hyping up the event. Let's take a look at what happened on tonight's episode of SmackDown, for this is the Cerebral Smack Talk. Hey there, welcome everybody to another edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk. I am Anthony Florio, once again sitting in tonight for good old MF Michael Fletcher. Commitments beyond his control. Hopefully he'll be back with us tomorrow night. Joined, as always, by the Phenom, Michael Bullock, and right now we're going to dive on in. And what we're going to do tonight, we're going to review tonight's SmackDown, and then we will preview tomorrow night's Money in the Bank pay-per-view. And that's all. So, started off with SmackDown, live tonight from the Scotiabank Arena, formerly the Air Canada Centre in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, on Fox. And, well, we started it off, I guess you could say, with a Money in the Bank summit. A men's Money in the Bank summit. All 6 men in the Money in the Bank ladder match. Jey Uso, LA Knight, Carmelo Hayes, Andrade, Chad Gable, Andrew McIntyre. You know, very predictable opening, to be honest. So nothing really to speak of. I mean, all it really was the typical. I mean, I'll say this: there were some fun moments in there, but otherwise, it was a very typical promo for these types of matches. Drew McIntyre, I still believe, is the odds-on favorite to me, and I do not rule out CM Punk costing him that match either. So, nothing really to speak of. I mean, it's kind of like the old. It's almost like what we had in the old administration. I mean, the old administration, this is something that they would do, you know? So, not really, nothing really to speak of, really. So, typical. So, let's get into our first action of the night. Pretty Deadly. Kit Wilson and Elton Prince squaring off against the Street Profits, Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins. And it was the Street Profits winning the match, 12 minutes and 47 seconds. Solid match that featured 2 teams who should be pillars of the SmackDown Tag Team division. All 4 men are great athletes with defined gimmicks and the ability to work well with anyone. Montez Ford picked up the win for his team from the Heavens Frog Splash. Good, clean match with no shenanigans. Always nice to get a definitive conclusion. And the way that Kit Wilson had to roll to get into position for Dawkins' Swanton Bomb is one of those things you wish the camera would miss. It was the only bad part of the final sequence. But other than that, very good match, to say the least. Great way to start the in-ring action. Between 3.25 and 3.5 stars is the correct rating for this. So not much more to say here. Michael Bullock, come on in. Street Profits defeating Pretty Deadly in 12 minutes and 47 seconds.
Yeah, I'll give this about 3.25, 3.5. I mean, this was a solid match. Yeah, the ending was a little awkward, but despite all that, I thought it was a good match, especially for Pretty Deadly's first match back in a while. So, yeah, it gives the Street Profits a little bit of momentum. So, yeah, so there's really nothing more to say. Let's move on for you.
I apologize. I forgot to unmute my mic. Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill squaring off against Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae. Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair win the match in 5 minutes and 10 seconds of TV time. So I'm not sure what the overall time was, but 5:10 of TV time. That's what I have on my notes here. But so not much more to say. Michael Bullock, a showcase for Cargill and Belair. But you noticed after the match was over, Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair basically made their intentions known. They want another shot at Alba Fire and Isla Dawn for those women's tag team titles.
Yeah, they want those titles back in a big way. So I'll give this about maybe 1.5 stars for the match here. I mean, the outcome was never in doubt. Obviously, you want to get the former champs back on track, and so now the question is, when do they get their rematch? That's the only question. So there's really nothing more to say. 1.5 stars is my rating for you.
Yeah, about 1.5 to 2 for me. To be honest with you, bear with me for a minute. Okay. After a short but competitive bout, Cargill and Belair hit their finishers at the same time to get the win. They did a great job packing a lot into only a few minutes. And then Kathy Kelly interviewed them as soon as it was over, and they declared their intentions to regain the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships from Isla Dawn and Alba Fire. Cargill hit a nice super kick right when the break ended, and Belair's corner backflip over Hartwell was timed perfectly. 2 to 2.5 is my rating. So not much more to say on that. And then we had an in-ring segment. Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, and the undisputed WWE champion, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. And basically they cut out, they all, said some words, but honest to goodness, Kevin Owens. I mean, Kevin Owens, said that his mother had a health scare and he's only at the show because he knows she would want him to be there. And our thoughts and our prayers go out to the Steen family, especially to Mama Steen. We're pulling for you. And, and they basically cut a very good promo, especially Kevin Owens. I mean, Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton. Of course, Cody Rhodes did the what do you want to talk about shtick that, Bullock and I do whenever we do our chats, of course. And on top of that, we also had, Randy Orton talking about the RKO, but Kevin Owens, though. I mean, if you're not pulling for the guy, I mean, yeah, that was a very, very well said promo there. And on behalf of Bullock and all of us here at Talking Wrestling TXN, our thoughts and our prayers definitely with the Steen family, especially Mama Steen. And get well soon, Mama. Get well soon. So that's all we can really say on that. Of course, they take on the Bloodline tomorrow night at Money in the Bank, which we will address when we get to our Money in the Bank preview, which will be coming up shortly. Next up, now here's the thing. We all remember, I believe it was in Saudi Arabia where we saw Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill against Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae. We had another return match. This one from the Clash at the Castle event. Bayley. She had Naomi in her corner, squaring off against Piper Niven with Chelsea Green in her corner. Winner of the match, 7 minutes and 32 seconds. It was Bayley. Just like at Clash at the Castle, Bayley picked up the win. They built on the chemistry they developed at Clash at the Castle and put on a fun show, but the arrival of some of the other women's Money in the Bank competitors distracted from what was going on in the ring. Chelsea Green and Naomi began fighting, and it caused everyone around the ring to start brawling. Tiffany Stratton hit a big moonsault to take everyone out shortly before Bayley won with the roast plant, and her celebration was cut short by the Queen of the Ring, Nia Jax. Kevin Owens' promo was the right mix of emotional and energetic. The way Piper Niven swung Bayley's body so her head hit the ring post was brutal. And where did everyone go after Tiffany Stratton hit the moonsault? 2.5 stars for this match. So not much more to say here. Michael Bullock, Bayley defeating Piper Niven 7 minutes and 32 seconds. The women, all the other women from the Money in the Bank ladder match showed up. All hell broke loose, and then Nia Jax unfortunately had to get the final say.
Yeah, unfortunately, she had to get the final say on this. What else is new? But I'll give this about maybe 2.5 on it. But yeah, Bayley gets the win. But basically, it was all about the women's Money in the Bank participants. So yeah, we'll wait and see where it all goes from here. So nothing more to say. Let's move on.
All right, and okay, we move on. Now, before we do, we'll set the card up for next week on SmackDown. Next Friday night, SmackDown will emanate from the DCU Center, formerly the Worcester Centrum in Worcester, Massachusetts. 2 matches announced. Michin will square off against Queen Nia Jax, and Baron Corbin and Apollo Crews will take on Angel Umberto of Legado del Fantasma. And it led into the main event of the evening, the WWE Tag Team Championship on the line. The champions, A-Town Down Under, Austin Theory and Grayson Waller, defending the titles against DIY, Tommaso Ciampa, and Johnny Gargano. Winners of the match in 14 minutes and 10 seconds, and new WWE Tag Team Champions, DIY. They get it done. They win the titles. Michael Bullock, there's nothing left for us to say except MF, this one's for you if you're watching. History has been made. Unprecedented crowning. New WWE Tag Team Champions, DIY, just like they did at NXT TakeOver Toronto in 2016 when they defeated the Revival for the NXT Tag Team Championships, and they did it in the exact same way. What are the odds?
I mean, how ironic is that, Florio? I mean, they win it in the same building that they won the NXT Tag Team titles at TakeOver Toronto. I mean, you know that had to be an emotional moment for those two. And it's like a full circle moment for these two. I mean, to win the NXT Tag Team titles and then to come back 8 years later and win the WWE Tag Team titles in the same building. And think of the emotional journey for Johnny Gargano, because not many people thought, I mean, we ever wonder if he was ever going to come back to WWE again. Because remember, after NXT, Florio, he was gone for a while.
Yeah.
And we all thought that maybe this was it for him. But now he comes back and he is now once again a champion, but now on the main roster. And the same thing for Tommaso Ciampa. I mean, with the major neck surgery that he went through, he thought his career was over. So think about it, Florio.
Oh, man.
2 guys who went through so much, they're back together and they win the WWE Tag Team titles, their first titles on the main roster.
About damn time.
It was well overdue for these two. I mean, I couldn't be so more happy for these two. So, and I think this is going to be the end of A-Town Down Under, because you've seen more miscommunication with the two, and that's what eventually led to the downfall. So, I'm going to give this an access of 3.5 to 3 3/4 of a star. Fight of the night, hands down. Like I said, once again, couldn't be happier for these two. Long overdue for them to get a title on the main roster, and now they do. So it's yours, Florio.
Couldn't have said it better. 3.5, 3 3/4 of a star. WWE did a good job building this bout up with segments and videos throughout the show. It felt like this match mattered, which is not something you can say about every title match on television. They wasted no time turning this into a fast-paced and furious exchange. All 4 men fought in and out of the ring, but managed to ensure all the action was easy to follow. Grayson Waller accidentally hit Austin Theory off the apron, but A-Town Down Under was able to recover and save his partner from being pinned. The crowd was going nuts with each near fall because it was hard to predict how it would all end. Ciampa and Gargano locked both men in submissions to win the match and the tag titles in a moment similar to their match with FTR and NXT or the Revival. WWE has been planting a lot of seeds for an A-Town Down Under breakup recently and played that up during the show leading to the match. DIY's double team moves always look so smooth, and Johnny Gargano's twisting destroyer at ringside was a little wonky. It didn't look like it would be possible for him to have the leverage to pull it off, but he did. Excellent match. Great story that Bullock just told here. And I know it's a proud papa moment from Michael Bullock because these 2 guys were 2 of the pillars of the black and gold NXT that Triple H, was the helm of, way back when. And great stories both ways. And don't forget, Johnny Gargano returned to WWE the August 29th, 2022 edition of Monday Night Raw. And where was that Raw? Scotiabank Arena, Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Another full circle moment for Johnny Gargano. And so happy for these guys. I mean, they're one of my favorite tag teams. And, when they were, one of the greatest tag teams in NXT history, when they had one of the greatest feuds in NXT history, when they feuded with each other, those legendary matches they had for the NXT Championship in 2018. And here they are all these years later. And now they finally get their first taste of main roster gold. About damn time. Long overdue. They damn sure deserve it. And Bullock and I couldn't be happier for these guys. I'm sure MF is too. And that's all there is to it. So, hands down, fight of the night. 3.5 to 3 3/4 of a star. Excellent main event. And like I said, in the immortal words of Gorilla Monsoon, NMF, history made, unprecedented crowning, and well-deserved. All right. Overall review.
There's actually one more thing
There is one more thing. Yes, there is one more thing that we do need to address, and that is a pre-recorded a vignette with the new bloodline, Solo Sikoa, with that tribal chief lay thing. I don't know how to pronounce it, but he and the bloodline had their rebuttal as to what Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton and Kevin Owens had to say. And well, it wasn't really that. It was just Solo Sikoa really addressing Roman Reigns and saying that Roman wasn't man enough to defend the title. And well, I'll say it like this: we got a pre-tape promo.
We beg to differ with that.
He said the Ula Fala makes him the tribal chief. He said Roman Reigns wasn't man enough to defend his championship against Cody Rhodes, and so he was no longer man enough to be the tribal chief. He then said he would take back the Bloodline's WWE Championship from Cody Rhodes, and if Roman wanted it back, he could take it from him. Solo then threatened Cody Rhodes that he was coming for him and that he would acknowledge him. That promo closed the show. That closed the show was good. I remain skeptical that it's a good idea to send him after Cody Rhodes already, but we'll see what they have in mind. So, Bullet, do you have a quick thought?
Yeah, I'm actually with you too. I mean, I'm a little skeptical that they would have him go after Cody Rhodes right away. I mean, I think you and I are in agreement that we know what the main goal is.
Yeah. Well,
we know what it is. Come on, say it.
You're putting me on the spot here, Bullock.
Well, come on, we talked about this before. Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa.
Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa, Tribal Combat at SummerSlam, yes.
Yeah, I think that's what WWE is shooting for.
Unless they do want to have Cody and Solo go at it, and maybe Roman returns at SummerSlam. I don't know. We're going to have to find out.
Yeah, I mean...
Because of what happened to Heyman.
Yeah, I think that it should be more of Solo and Roman at SummerSlam, especially after what they did with Heyman.
Yes, I agree with you.
I mean, if Heyman wasn't involved in it, then I would say, okay, maybe they are going to have him go after Solo. I mean, after Cody Rhodes, I meant.
Yeah.
But because of what they did to Heyman, I think it's more likely, we're going to get Solo and Roman at SummerSlam.
Well, we'll just have to find out.
Just my opinion.
I agree with you. All right. So with that, we move on to our overall. Now we go to the overall review here. Of course, as we all know, SmackDown ended with a video package featuring Solo Sikoa and the new Bloodline. And that's basically all that there was. So talking about why he needed to become the tribal chief and why he would win that Money in the Bank. So tonight's show was a standard WWE go-home show before a pay-per-view, but the matches and segments all did a good job hyping the premium live event. The two men's tag matches were the highlights of the show, but it was the main event that was the most entertaining and provided us with a feel-good moment to end the episode. DIY being the new tag champs is going to make a lot of fans happy, but their win may be overshadowed by Saturday's Money in the Bank event or tomorrow's Money in the Bank event if we get some big surprises. All in all, this was a good show that helped set the stage for this weekend. WWE seems to have found a good balance with 4 matches on SmackDown, but one more would help from time to time. So somewhere in excess of 7 to 7.5, somewhere in that range. So not much more to say there. So Michael Bullock, let's get your overall thoughts, and then we'll get into our preview of Money in the Bank.
What did you give it?
7.5.
Yeah, I'll give it about 7.5 as well. I mean, I thought, it was definitely a good show. Gives a little bit going into the Money in the Bank premium live event that goes down tomorrow night. So, with that being said, let's talk about tomorrow night's Money in the Bank premium live event.
Tomorrow night, WWE brings back one of its most exciting events as Money in the Bank heads to the Scotiabank Arena in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. As usual, 2 ladder matches highlight the show as one man and one woman will win a contract guaranteeing a shot at any championship of their choosing at any time. In addition to the ladder matches, the World Heavyweight Championship will be on the line as Damian Priest defends against the challenger and inaugural World Heavyweight Champion Seth freaking Rollins. If Priest wins, Rollins cannot challenge him for the title again, while Priest must leave the Judgment Day if he loses the title. The Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship is also set to be defended when the champion Sami Zayn defends against the red-hot Braun Breaker. And finally, Solo Sikoa's version of the Bloodline will be in 6-man tag team action against Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, and the undisputed WWE champion, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. And of course, as announced today, much to the delight of the people of Toronto and especially me, we have a host of this show. And that special guest host is none other than Toronto's own WWE Hall of Famer, Trish Stratus. Oh my God, did that make my day? Let me tell you that right now. So very happy. And of course, we saw her on that kickoff show earlier this evening. So yeah, she just ages so like fine wine, man. I'm telling you, always does, always will. And I can't wait to see her tomorrow night on that show. All right. So with that being said, let's go from bottom to top here, and we started off with that 6-man tag team matchup. Undisputed WWE Champion Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, and Randy Orton versus the Bloodline. Now, there's 2 ways we can go about this. On one hand, there are some who can't shake the feeling that WWE wants to run Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton at SummerSlam. And this new version of the Bloodline is still very much in its rebuilding phase. So let Cody, KO, and Orton win, and have Orton hit an RKO afterward, and let Solo and company go off and do something else until either The Rock or Roman Reigns are back in the picture. However, on the other hand, as of late, signs are pointing to Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa at SummerSlam. If that's the case, it is imperative that Solo wins tomorrow night to justify that booking. Solo Sikoa has impossible shoes to fill as Roman Reigns' successor, but adding Jacob Fatu and the Gorillas of Destiny to the Bloodline is a step in the right direction. Solo looked like an absolute killer against John Cena at the Crown Jewel last November. WWE failed to capitalize on that moment, but having Solo dominate at Money in the Bank is a good step towards recapturing that magic. Based on what we've seen as of late, I'm going to take a chance, and I'm going to say the Bloodline wins this match. And I wouldn't be surprised if they decide to go with Cody Rhodes and Solo Sikoa at SummerSlam. But if the Cody team wins, if Cody, KO, and Orton win, then what? I don't know. Maybe it will be Cody and Orton. I don't know. We'll see. But for right now, I got to go with the Bloodline to win this match. So Michael Bullock, your thoughts on the 6-man?
Yeah, I mean, this could go many different ways. I mean, but I think the obvious, is for the new bloodline of Solo Sikoa and the Gorillas of Destiny to win this. I mean, you want to, and I think Solo will get the pinfall here. And I'm gonna go on I'm gonna make a bold prediction here, Florio, with this.
Oh boy.
I'm gonna I don't know if this will happen or not, but if they're gonna say Roman and Solo for SummerSlam, I think Roman comes back and confronts Solo after the match.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, if you
That could
wanna,
happen.
I
It
mean,
could
if you,
happen.
if you wanna start the build for these two at SummerSlam, have Roman come back at Money in the Bank, and that's when you can start the build for it.
Definitely, definitely. And it also depends on where this match is on the card. The only way I can see that happening is if this match is the main event. If this match is the main event, then there's a very good chance we might finally get Roman. So we're just gonna have to wait and find out. So all right, Bullock, let's move on to our next match. Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship on the line. The champion, Sami Zayn, defending the title against Braun Breaker. Michael Bullock, who you got? Does Sami's run continue? Or does the era of the animal known as Braun Breaker begin?
Man, this is tough. I mean, I mean, I like what I've seen from Sami Zayn with his run as the Intercontinental Champion, but I also like what I've seen from Braun Breaker. I mean, they're really pushing the guy. Ooh, it's a tough one for me to call, but I'm going to take a chance and say Sami Zayn somehow finds a way to retain the title. I mean, but I would not at all be surprised if Braun Breaker does become the new Intercontinental Champion. So Sami Zayn retains, but like I said, if Braun becomes the new champ, I would not at all be surprised. So it's yours, Florio.
I respectfully disagree with you, Michael Bullock.
I'm not
Yes,
surprised.
Sami Zayn is very over, which won't change win or lose. Breaker is also gaining over at a rapid pace simply by being the kind of force you rarely see in WWE. Every title reign can't be a year-long run, or those long runs stop feeling special. It's a very strange balancing act, given we've had years in the past where it was an issue that titles changed too quickly, too often. Breaker's momentum should not be broken here, especially considering that wrestlers like Sami Zayn are better at chasing titles than running with them. So I respectfully disagree with you, Michael Bullock. I say the winner and new Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion, Braun Breaker. But would I be surprised if Sami went over? No, I wouldn't. But I just think Breaker's on the roll of a lifetime right now, and that's why I got to go with Braun Breaker to win the title here tonight. So not much more to say on that. We move on now. Okay, here we go. These next three matches are the big ones. The women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Io Sky versus Chelsea Green versus Lyra Valkyria versus Tiffany Stratton versus Naomi versus Zoe Stark. There are valid reasons for now I'll say it like this. Chelsea Green's throwback diva act is entertaining and endearing, but it has a ceiling. Green and Piper Niven worked a solid program with WWE Women's Champion Bayley, and the briefcase is exactly what she needs for staying power on SmackDown. Runs with the briefcase have been painfully short for women on the roster. That's something the new regime will certainly remedy. Stratton is the obvious winner, and she is a superstar in the making. Briefcase will not change that. You could give Chelsea a Carmella-style run with the briefcase and let her be an annoying menace en route to a title run that she probably won't get without it. However, there are valid reasons for anyone in this match to win. But if I'm going to be honest with you, we've been saying for the last several weeks and several months that Tiffany Stratton feels like a lock. This is the kind of match that gives her the chance to shine and sets her up to provide a new face at the front of the women's locker room. She'll get there whether she wins Money in the Bank or not. But this feels like the right time to pull the trigger and strap the rocket to her. I'm going with Tiffany Stratton to win this match. But any of the other ones could watch out. But the one I'm most worried about is Chelsea Green. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm worried about that one. But in all honesty, the most deserving and the rightful winner of this match, if they get it right, Tiffany Stratton wins this match. So I'm going with Tiffany Stratton to win this match. So Michael Bullock, we've been saying it for several weeks and months. We've been saying it'll be Tiffy time. It'll be Tiffy in the bank. Are we going to change our minds on this, or are we going to stick to our guns?
I'm not going to change my mind on it. I'm certainly as heck not going to change my mind.
Absolutely.
I mean, we've been talking about this for months. I mean, Tiffany Stratton is the real deal. She's been so she like we said, they're going to strap the rocket on her and they're going to push her big time. And for it to be complete is to have her win the Money in the Bank ladder match. So, and I know, I mean, I think it was it Monday Night Florio, when Fletch, he actually said, he actually had
I think
he actually said, you know what, I originally was saying Tiffy time, but I don't know. People are starting to chant for Chelsea Green. It seems like he's starting to be on the Chelsea Green bandwagon.
Well, she is a both of these women are SmackDown talents, so he'd win either way.
Yeah, but it seems like he was leaning more towards, when we had that talk with him, it seems like he was leaning more towards Chelsea Green.
Fair enough. I mean,
but
she is the biggest threat outside of Tiffany Stratton.
But we both would respectfully disagree with him if he was on here.
Yes.
I mean, if they put Chelsea Green over, then
oh boy,
yeah, it's going to be a big headache for you, for me, and
don't forget that rumor going around that she wants to bring back the Divas Championship. No, don't do that. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that bling bling sideshow belt back here. No
way,
absolutely not.
Keep that belt retired.
If the other guy was running this thing, then it would make sense, because that was basically something out of his creation.
Yeah.
But he's not here anymore, and he ain't coming back.
Yeah. So to me, winner is Tiffany Stratton. So
yes.
Nothing more to say. Let's get on to the next big matchup.
The men's Money in the Bank ladder match. Here we go. Main event: Jey Uso, yeet, versus Carmelo Hayes, versus Andrade, versus Chad Gable, versus LA Knight, versus Drew McIntyre. Now, Bullock, on the women's side, it's cut and dry. We both agree it's going to be Tiffany Stratton. Men's side, maybe not as clear cut, but it's definitely between these two studs from Monday Night Raw. Main event: Jey Uso and Drew McIntyre.
Wow, like you said, it's not clear cut. I'll say that right now.
No.
Well, I can tell you it's not going to be the other guys who I think are going to win it. I mean, I think it's going to come down to Drew McIntyre and Jey Uso. And I think the CM Punk factor is going to come into play here. I mean, I'll say this right now. If CM Punk shows up and screws Drew McIntyre, I'm going to say Jey Uso wins it. But if he doesn't show up, I'm going to go with Drew McIntyre. So it's tough, but I'm going to take a chance and say Drew McIntyre wins it. So nothing more to say. It's yours, Florio.
Yeah. I'll make the arguments. Drew McIntyre is headed into a high-profile feud with CM Punk. That could be the biggest match on one of the promotion's keystone events in SummerSlam. He's also repeatedly been screwed out of the world title. He simply doesn't need the briefcase to justify his place in the marquee. Jey Uso would benefit more. Main event Jey gets great crowd reactions, but his run near the top has been tepid. A win here is exactly what he needs to raise his reputation and keep him in the mix at a high level. On the other hand, credit where it's due. WWE loaded up the men's ladder match with a bunch of interesting options to hold this year's briefcase. But McIntyre's claim that he'll win the briefcase and cash in that night to get the world title off of Damian Priest towers over everything else. I'm going to take a chance and go with Drew McIntyre as well. But if Punk shows up, then Jey Uso wins. No doubt about that. Here we go, the big one. For the World Heavyweight Championship, the champion, Damian Priest, defending the title against the challenger and former champion in his own right, Seth freaking Rollins. And high stakes. If Damian Priest successfully defends the title, Seth Rollins can no longer challenge for the title as long as Priest is champion. However, if Seth Rollins regains the title that he lost at WrestleMania, then Damian Priest must leave the Judgment Day. Wow, you want to talk about high stakes? I'll tell you what. For as much as I've enjoyed Raw lately, there's one issue the show hasn't been able to get away from. Damian Priest is not interesting as the World Heavyweight Champion. But I can still see a world where Priest finds a way to retain against Rollins, gets betrayed by Finn Balor and the rest of Judgment Day, something they've gone back to teasing after dropping the idea last year, and out walks Drew McIntyre to cash in the contract. And maybe Drew McIntyre becomes the World Heavyweight Champion, and McIntyre and Punk can actually be for the... But then that would set up McIntyre and Gunther, though. However, Priest retains the title despite being kind of a detriment to Raw overall currently. I don't think a McIntyre cash-in is coming, however. McIntyre versus CM Punk is the money program heading towards SummerSlam, and McIntyre winning the title would tie him to a match with Gunther instead, since Gunther is guaranteed a SummerSlam title shot for winning the King of the Ring. Rollins coming back and immediately winning the title doesn't feel like an earned title transition. So look for Priest to retain and continue his muddy program with the Judgment Day. So even though there is a part of me that thinks maybe if McIntyre wins this match, and this match is after the Money in the Bank ladder match, perhaps McIntyre cashes in, makes it a triple threat match, and if they do that, then I could see Seth freaking Rollins stealing the title by pinning McIntyre. Priest loses the belt without being pinned, and then it sets up three very intriguing matches on the Raw side for SummerSlam. You would then have Seth Rollins defending the title against Gunther. You would have Drew McIntyre against CM Punk. And you would have Damian Priest maybe against Finn Balor. I could see all that happening. That's a scenario I came across. My gut tells me to go with Rollins to win the title here. Or I should say my heart tells me to go with Rollins, of course. But I don't know why, but my gut tells me that they're going to want to keep the title on Priest a little bit longer. So I would not at all be surprised if Damian Priest somehow, some way, I mean, we've had our doubts, but he keeps finding ways to win. I mean, we knew he'd beat Jey Uso, but we all thought he was going to lose the title to McIntyre in Scotland, but he didn't. He found a way, and that was because of CM Punk. So it's interesting, but I'm going to go with Priest for now, but I would not be at all surprised if Rollins possibly gets the title here, or if McIntyre actually cashes in Money in the Bank and he wins it. I don't know. But for right now, I gotta go with Damian Priest to successfully defend. So not much more to say except take us home, Bullock.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting to see what happens with this. I mean, especially with what's at stake. Like you said, if Damian Priest loses, he leaves the Judgment Day. But if Rollins loses, he never gets another shot at the title as long as Priest is the champion. But here's something I could see happening. And this is what I think, Florio. Because like you said, if the Money in the Bank ladder match comes before this and Drew wins, I see him cashing in, making it a triple threat match. And I think this is where I think CM Punk will screw Drew McIntyre over again. And I think this is where Damian Priest will take advantage and he will still be the world heavyweight champion. So I'm going to say winner and still the world heavyweight champion, Damian Priest. I think it's going to be a cash in by Drew McIntyre, but I think CM Punk's going to screw him over once again because we all know the money match for SummerSlam is going to be Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. And to be quite honest with you, Florio, it doesn't need the World Heavyweight Championship.
No, it doesn't.
And if you're going to do CM Punk and Drew McIntyre at SummerSlam, with the way this rivalry has been going, it's really gotten to the point of, I mean,
beyond personal.
There's only one way they can tell this. It can't be a regular one-on-one matchup.
Nope.
They need to do what they did for SummerSlam 2002, and Florio, you know that very well.
Non-sanctioned match.
Exactly. Drew McIntyre, CM Punk needs to be a non-sanctioned match. Because with the way it's gotten personal, a regular match wouldn't do it justice. I mean, CM Punk and Drew McIntyre obviously will have to sign whole harmless contracts where WWE will not be held responsible for whatever happens to those two. And also CM Punk can't sue Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre can't sue CM Punk, and neither of them can sue the WWE. So, and I'm sure Triple H and the guys will probably say, hey, we don't want nothing to do with this. If you two want to go at it, let's make it non-sanctioned, and you two can do whatever the hell you want to do to each other. But leave us out of it. So that's how I see everything going down. But so nothing more to say. Let's call it a night, Florio.
All right, Bullock, and that will put the bow on this edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in, as always. We'll be back with you around 10 or 10:30 tomorrow night, sometime after the Money in the Bank pay-per-view goes off the air. Hopefully, MF will be back with us. Hopefully, we'll be on his channel, BraceFan95, as we will have our recap of Money in the Bank. And then on top of that, we will also preview the NXT Heatwave show that goes down on Sunday night. And MF also informed us that we're going to add the NXT Heatwave recap to our show to Ridiculously Raw on Monday night. So Ridiculously Raw on Monday night, that's what we'll do. So, but for tomorrow, it's going to be the review of Money in the Bank, the preview of Heatwave, and if MF is on, then maybe we can have him do his latest Big 3 basketball report, since the Big 3 action for this week will be going down on Sunday instead of Saturday. So that'll be tomorrow. And then Monday night, Ridiculously Raw, right back here on the Tone 25, as we will have our review of NXT Heatwave, and we will also review Monday Night Raw as we start Raw's road to the biggest party of the summer, SummerSlam. And then Wednesday night, we have Wednesday Night Madness with NXT and AEW Dynamite, and then we'll take it from there. So that's it. So until tomorrow night, for our Money in the Bank recap, it's Anthony Florio here for the Phenom, Michael Bullock, and of course, in spirit, good old MF, Michael Fletcher, and of course, always and forever, the first lady of our show, the one and only Twisted Angel, Dee Dee Woodson. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Saturday. And until tomorrow night for our Money in the Bank recap, you've been watching the Cerebral Smack Talk right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and StreamYard.com. And remember, my friends, no matter what anyone tells you beyond anything else, wrestling is indeed actually real. For everybody who has been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long, and bye, everybody, bye.